Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the RENNSPORT Community League. We are here in Monza for the second race of the fourth season. Right now in qualifying, while we are watching one of our championship contenders actually driving through his own in-lap. And today is gonna be an interesting one. We have probably the largest grid in quite some time. And unlike last Saturday, I'm not alone here today either, because Tim Island is back with me in the booth.
Hello, Lino. Hello, everybody. I am indeed back, it's true.
It's always a good thing for me. Since last time I noticed that my vocabulary skills sometimes do lag a bit. But coming back to the racing action, I think today we will have a very, very interesting race to watch. As said, we have a lot of people in here and a lot of fast and known people as well. I mean, we already see Dominik Ladler here in picture. He is, of course, I mean, as the three-time champion in this series, always a great contender for this race. But we also have our current championship leader back in the form of Lukas Mint. We have the likes of Bräuniger back, Fridge is back in, Kurzer's there, Thunder is there. So lots of names you will recognize if you followed the RENNSPORT Community League. And yeah, what do you think for today's race?
Yeah, we've got a lot of people in here. Obviously, Monza GZ3 always brings the numbers. Everyone loves it. I hate Monza. But I'm sure it's going to be some fantastic racing. As it does tend to deliver once we can get past the danger spots, shall we say. Somebody, I'm not saying who, Lena, decided to schedule Monza GT3s on Friday the 13th.
Well, I didn't necessarily have that in mind, perhaps. But, I mean, the last race we had on Friday 13th was, I think, the 2.4 hour Nordschleife race. And, I mean, that one delivered, so I'm positive for today.
Yeah, true.
But, yeah, I mean, this is, of course, only the second race of the season. But still might be worth taking a look at the championship, because that is led by Lukas Mint after the last race in Fuji, which was very action-packed, I'd say.
Yeah, it was a really good race. I really enjoyed watching that one.
Yeah, and I mean, Dominik Ladler finished third here, has another chance today to back up to him, but we also have Danny Schröder in here. I mean, if we think back to last season, to Road Atlanta, he gave Dominik Ladler a fairly good run for his money, basically stepping in for Dennis Heinz.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of faster drivers from the community here today, and with the slipstreaming on Monza, you can be a little bit slower than someone else and still stay in contention as long as you can get a good slipstream. So it always helps to keep kind of nice, close racing.
You certainly have a lot more chances.
Hopefully, it'll be a good one.
And
hopefully this guy on screen right now has a better race than at Fuji.
Yeah, and I mean, better race than many races in the last season. Joachim Thunder, very unlucky. I mean, he was very unlucky with the situation as well, getting involved in that incident in the opening lap at Fuji, a night race, and basically having your only light source at that track taken from you. Didn't necessarily help, so definitely understandable why he parked the car in the first race. But I mean, he seems to be back on a good track here in Monza. And today he doesn't have to worry about lighting at all, because, I mean, it's a daytime race. Currently 1.3 seconds behind Lukas Mint. The top three Porsches, but all within 1.5 tenths of a second.
Yeah, it's very close at the top three right now as they work their way through qualifying. It's not too long a lap here, so they get a good few chances of setting a fast one. Some people taking it a bit easy at the beginning, maybe warming their brakes and their tyres up properly, getting in the groove.
Dominik Ladler on a very good lap here to 2.5 tenths up on Lukas Mint in the second sector, comes across the line and takes pole position for now. Danny Schröder behind did improve as well, but Ali Zahir tied Lukas Mint's lap time. They're both on a 2.89. Oh, sorry. I mean, tying a lap time on this level. respect for that. And Alizai, he wants to be back as well.
Yeah, Joachim Thunder's currently doing pretty good on his lap. He's pretty much bang on the same as Timothy Fritsch. So we've got a good few drivers within the top 5 or 6 here who can definitely be competitive come race time.
And even behind them, I wouldn't count any of the 3 BMW following Timothy Fritsch. I also wouldn't count Dennis Kurzer out. We know that he can improve on that lap time. We've seen it on very different races.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, the race, 45 minutes. We know the formula by now. 1 pit stop for everyone to take. On Monza, I think it's a lot more strategic than you might think, because it basically applies very similar to what you would normally see on Super Speedway and oval racing. In the case if you don't really want to lose a slipstream, if you are in a good slipstream train, losing your lap time, or on the other hand, if you are faster, of course you want to pit, but maybe the others will then benefit of bump drafting down the straights.
Yeah, the slipstream and the traffic is the main factors you're going to be taking into account with your pit stop here more than anything. And you don't necessarily need to run your tank dry before you pop into the pits. You might want to drop in, like you said, because of traffic or because you want to keep a slipstream if the guy in front of you ducks in at the last minute. Keeping the slipstream is important, especially if the guy in front is just a little bit quicker than you, then you can use him to drag you up to other drivers.
I'm sure we will talk about that more during the race, but Lucas Mint right now is on a banger lap time that might be just slightly quicker than Dominic Lala if he can keep it tight through the final sector, which is basically just Parabolica, but Parabolica a very hard turn. So what will it be? And it's a big improvement, but is it valid? Doesn't seem to be valid. Must have invalidated that lap on the 3rd sector, because otherwise it wouldn't have shown.
Yeah, he's been putting in some really quick laps as Lucas Mint. He's just having a little bit of trouble staying quite within the track limits. Just trying to hook that one perfect lap up. He's obviously got the pace.
Meanwhile, Danny Schroeder, I don't think this one will be close enough to improve his position, but starting 4th is a very good starting point. Enrico Bruiniger closed in on the 2 cars in front, even though he couldn't surpass both Thunder and Fritsch. And Thunder also gained 4/10 on the second on Dominic Ladler in that qualifying session. All of those laps will be their last ones. Some opting to actually train the pit entry, which on Monza is a very good thing to do before the race. But Lucas Mint again with a very strong Sector 1. And Sector 1 is probably the most technical out of all of them.
He is currently still valid.
Can he make it to the line in time, though? That will be the big question. Through Parabolica, there are about 10 seconds left on the clock. Runs to the edge of the track.
Still valid coming down the straight, but it's going to be tight on time.
I don't think it was early enough. I think he got edged out by time. But well, that is our grid for today. Dominic Ladler, Ali Zaya, Lucas Mint, Danny Schroeder, Joachim Thunder, Alexander I'm sorry, Gjemle. I hope I didn't completely butcher that. I butchered it multiple times now, but I hope I got it right in the end. But he pulled out a great lap time to take 6th from Timothy Fritsch, followed by Enrico Broniger and Piotr Zodl. Dennis Kurzer in P10, followed by Jonas Blüm and Pierre Kolberg, other names we definitely can recognize. So this one is a very mixed bag, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a tight grid at the top, so it's going to make for an interesting few few laps, I think, as people jockey for position and try to figure out where they can be. And any little mistakes here is going to be costing you quite big in places, I think.
And we have all 5 car brands currently in GT3 represented in the top 7 as well. Just want to bring that up. And I think also if we look in the middle of the pack with Thunder, Fridge, and Bräuniger, we know that those are faster in the long run. They are more consistent, while the usually faster drivers are up front, but we've seen more mistakes from them.
Yeah. And we have a couple of silver BMW liveries there, I think, as well, don't we?
Indeed we do. And we go racing here in Monza for the second race of the season. And it's a good getaway for Dominic Lade. Lucas Mint losing his position to Danny Schröder further behind. It's Joachim Thunder emerging quite well in the midfield, in the middle of the track. Can everybody get it? Sometimes we see a bit of contact between the two BMWs in the back. Oh, and more contact to follow up front. Danny Schröder, I think, had to get off the road. And now Ali Zaher is taking the lead. Ali Zaher into the lead of this race.
It was well navigated there. It was pretty clean up front, and Ali Zaher managed to just be in the right place at the right time every corner there.
Now into the second chicane, though. Get it through nicely. Lucas Mint, I think, tried to find his way. Oh, and Timothy Fridge spinning off in the Aston Martin there. Not a great start for him. Enrico Bräuniger also dropped 1 or 2 positions in all of this. Jemba is still in 6th, though, so for him it was a good start. And all 5 BMWs actually right behind each other.
You've got a bit of a BMW train there, haven't we? There's a bit of a mini Porsche train at the front, and then a big BMW train.
But don't forget the Audi in between. That thing can be very fast, and we know that Joachim Thunder does know how to drive an Audi R8.
You should do after this time.
Definitely a way better start for him as well, though. See a bit of damage.
It was a good start for Thunder.
See a bit of damage to Lucas Mint's front right quarter panel. Let's hope that this didn't really interfere with the suspension. But now in the slipstream of Dominic Lala down the front straight, goes to the inside. Hard braking zone into turn 1 side by side. Can Dominic Lala keep it on? And tags Lucas Mint, who's then collected by Danny Schröder.
Yeah, I think Lucas Mint just turned in a bit too much on Dominic Lala there. He wasn't expecting there still to be another Porsche alongside him.
Double side by side. Joachim Thunder might claim 3rd position from Lucas Mint here. Does back out of it.
Yeah, taking a lot of the anti-cut there. You've got to really be careful to make sure your car doesn't skip all over. Lucas Mint being pretty forceful in the last couple of turns.
Danny Schröder got really caught off by the half spin of Lucas Mint. We were also able to see the damage caused to his car, but still, he really lost out due to this. And I wonder, where's Ali Zaher gone? Ali Zaher is not in this race anymore.
No, Ali Zaher is currently not showing. He's in the server.
Our leading driver, our leading Mercedes. Now Danny Schröder. Oh, he has to watch out because I'm not quite sure who it was. One of the BMWs in the pits. It might be Sarashevich coming out of the pits.
It was, yeah.
Oh, that was a very interesting situation there. I think Dennis Schroeder wanted to avoid hitting Joachim Thunder and thereby cut across the inside, which is okay to do. I don't think he will keep that position. But well, Joachim Thunder, of course, not seeing that before.
No. That did earn Danny Schroeder a 5-second time penalty. Also with a 5-second time penalty to be served is Lucas Mind.
Well, maybe due to incident points. Of course, incident points are activated for this race. But, yeah, on Monza, some guesses to expect. Oh, and big contact between Bräuniger and I think it... Who is it? Is it Sarachevich? And Bräuniger's car now without a front bumper.
Yeah, Lucas Mind's 5 seconds was for exceeding incident points. So was Amir Zakharashev. He's got 5 seconds for incident points. Oh, his has just gone up to 10, so he's really racking up the incident points.
And we're only 5 minutes into this race. So up front now, it's Dominik Ladler leading from Lucas Mint, who is currently leading from Danny Schroeder, but he has a 5-second penalty to his name. Same goes for Lucas Mint, of course, but that will pretty much promote Joachim Thunder and Gjemble into... Will even be close to second and third, but definitely third and fourth. Dennis Kurzer, he came from further down the grid. He's in 7th. Timothy Fritchard, that spin on the opening lap, is back in 8th. Bräuniger, meanwhile, in the pits to repair the damage from the contact with Sarachevich. So if that plays out like it usually does, which I will put in big asterisks here, because nothing about this race has really been usual. But I think we will see Kurzer and Fritsch climb up the ladder a bit more, because they are very consistent and safe usually, and with the chaos unfolding further up front, and the aggressiveness that both Mint and Schroeder have shown so far, maybe we'll see some bigger changes. It's Pierre
Kolbeck having a big spin. Seems to be facing the wrong way on track, trying to get back on.
Got it pointing back into the correct direction.
Sarasievich as being black flagged due to exceeding the point limit, I'm afraid.
That is very fast to do so, though. It seems like Gjemble has internet issues.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems to be having a bit of a problem.
It could happen that we will see him back. It's not guaranteed, though. So,
No, I think he's just disappeared.
Joachim Thunder for now without pressure.
But yeah, the interesting point with Thunder perhaps at the minute is that both of the drivers ahead of him have time penalties. So he may well leapfrog them in the pits, even if they pit at the same time and do the same things.
Of course, under the premise that he himself can keep himself off of incident limits. Or incident limit violations. But I mean, on the behalf of Thunder, I wouldn't really care about that too much at the moment, because he usually doesn't rack up incident points. Oh, and that was Dennis Kurzer around, I think. But it also seems like Lucas Mint can't really catch Dominic Ladler at the moment. The gap is staying about 2.7 to 2.8 seconds, but he isn't gaining.
Yeah, their last lap, there was 0.05 of a second between them in lap time, so they are practically doing the same lap time right now.
Gaps have spread out quite a lot now.
Now, my HUD on the replay is showing Lucas Mind as still on. Oh, there it is. He's just got a drive-through for exceeding incident point limits, and he has pulled over and is immediately DNFing by the look of it.
Seems like he has retired the car.
He's a bit of a rage quit.
And we just got news from Alexander, who unfortunately had a blue screen on the start-finish straight. Well,
Oh no.
Could count that as a technical DNF, but very unfortunate on every level. I mean, it was a great drive, and definitely I think Joachim Thunder was afraid of losing that now third place, which could become second, depending on how Danny Schroeder does during the rest of the race. But
yeah, he's currently, the gap between him and Schroeder is currently 3.8 seconds, so it's within the realms of the penalty points.
I mean, this is a big blow to Lucas Mint, I think, since Dominic Lala is gonna make a lot of points on him in this race.
Yeah, for sure. He's maybe would have been better off carrying on and just grabbing some points for the championship there. You would obviously have still lost quite a lot to Dominic Ladler if Ladler can keep it on track, but points in the bag is always better than not.
I mean, we'll see what he brings to the next league race in Daytona in 2 weeks. So, of course, we hope to see him back. But, I mean, Daytona... Monza is chaotic. Daytona is, well, a bit more organized, but still chaotic. So, yeah, it will be quite interesting to see what he does there. If he'll maybe take it a bit differently in terms of approach. He was a bit unlucky, of course, in this race being caught out by the contacts with also Dominic Ladler, but also at the start, I think. But yeah, just didn't quite go his way, I think, and then got frustrated. Meanwhile, somebody who just completely went under the radar is another BMW in P4. Piotr Zdalbe is in 4th, and he started this race, I think, in 8th? 8th or 9th? Something like that.
I'll see if I can get the results up from qualifying. I wonder if I can do it from the race director screen. No, I don't think I can. But yeah, I think it was somewhere further down towards that kind of position, yeah.
Of course, there's a different way to see the positions of the qualifying. That is through the RENNSPORT app.
That's true.
And if we take a look there, we can see... One second. That he started in 9th. Just behind Broniger. Who himself is in 8th at the moment. Timothy Fritsch, meanwhile, moved up to 5th, so got another position somewhere. But the gap between Schröder and Thunder, it is 5 seconds now. And I think Dennis Schröder will be able to serve the penalty on his pit stop. Unless he decides to not do so.
Yeah, by default it'll be set to serve on his pit stop for sure. Enrico Breudinger is making a bit of a comeback at Pierre Colbeck here, who just moves out of the way and lets him through.
It's here in front of Dominic Lale here. Really seems like Dominic Lale is dialed in now. Being very consistent at a very good level. Of course, Danny Schröder suffering from that front right damage. Oh, and I think that's Johannes Blum very loose, but able to catch the car now. Oh, that's a situation you don't want to find yourself in. 2-lap cars. Oh, and I think that's a hard hit for Johannes Blum. I think Pierre Colbeck didn't really know where he wanted to go.
He's stuck in one of the worst possible places right now. Doesn't want to interrupt the flow of the other racing traffic, obviously. He's doing the right thing and just waiting until he's got a bit of clean air. Finally gets his AMG turned around.
Yeah, you can't really see what's coming because it's blind for both parties, so Johannes Blum not really knowing when it's clear, just has to go by live timing, and in this case the diver not really knowing where Johannes Blum is. He will see the yellow flags, of course, but yellow flags could be for any car. Dennis Schröder now into the pits, first one to do so.
Got a little bit of damage on the car. I wonder if he's going to bother fixing that while he's there. He is not. He's just refueling. Serving his penalty, a quick 5-second pit stop, and he's out of here.
Dominic Lale, Lapin Groeninger.
Johannes Blum coming into the pit lane now. He is repairing his car. He's got a pretty hefty repair bill going on there.
I think he also was in the pits before, if I'm not mistaken. Meanwhile, as far as it seems, Aliza had an internet packet loss, so unfortunately another of these. That's really the worst DNF you can have, right? A shorter period internet outage, because you fly out of the race, and especially in my case, it was often the case. Literally 1 minute later, he had everything working normally again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things that happens with gaming on the internet sometimes. You've just got to go somewhere quiet and yell about it for a few minutes and then move on, I'm afraid.
Bit of a drift there for Dennis Kurzer.
Johannes Blum finally moving down the pit lane again now, after his mammoth repair bill. Served his penalty, changed his tyres. I think he had the full wax and polish while he was at it.
Wouldn't be the first time a car comes in to the pit lane for being cleaned in motorsports history.
That's very true.
Of course, there was a very famous situation in Le Mans. Also, I think 10 years ago or something like that. With two certain yellow American cars.
Yes.
Say many fans didn't react to that quite fondly. But I mean, if you already dominate a race like that.
We don't quite have the full set, but we do have 4 manufacturers in the top 4 right now.
That is very true. I mean, we probably would have 5 if it wasn't for an internet outage.
Yeah, Ali, ruining our stats.
But what he definitely showed today is how good he still is and how well that his race craftsmanship definitely didn't drop during the time he wasn't with us. I mean, that move going past Ladler and using the situation with him and Lucas Mint was outstandingly judged by Alizaya.
Yeah, he's definitely still got it. He's not lost his touch. It was some great driving, and I really hope to see him coming back.
I mean, when I think about Alizaya, I kind of always have to think back to this very track, to Monza. And I think it was the RENNSPORT Community League race. Because I think that was the first race I really noticed him. Because while he was running a bit more silent, he had a race very similar to the likes of Timothy Fridge. Very silent in itself, but just moving up the pack, or Piotr Dalbe actually being the better example here. He didn't really get involved in anything, and he's running third at the moment. So quietly making his way up the pack.
Yeah, true. I think some of Ali Zahire's best races so far have kind of been a bit like that. He's a bit like a sneaky ninja you don't see coming until right at the end of the race.
But yeah, I'm very curious to what Piotr can make out of this situation he's currently in. Of course, Dennis Schroeder in 5th already has pitted and will probably get past him later on in this race when he's about to pit. I think they will still stay out for 1 lap or 2.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if maybe Joachim Thunder would have pitted this lap, but I think he's got another couple of laps worth of fuel left in his car, and he's got plenty of clean air around him right now, so I suppose he might as well stay out and get some extra laps in. It's one of the difficult things I've always found in sim racing is judging where you come back onto the track after you've pitted. It's very difficult to try and figure out when you're trying to drive at the same time.
It's sometimes very hard to really figure out what others are going to do.
Yes.
Or to compare your pit stop cycle to others, because as we've seen in some other RENNSPORT Community League races, that some people then suddenly go for tires or don't go for tires, even though most people do, or whatever like that. So, judging that and keeping that in your head is always a bit hard, I think, as Dominic Ladner pulls into the pits.
He's not really under massive amounts of pressure right now, so he was under the speed limit well before the start of the pit lane there.
Joachim Thunder stays out. So Thunder taking over the lead for at least a lap here. But yeah, for Diable, it will be very interesting with Timothy Fridge, because he's closing in on him. And he goes into the pits. Timothy Fridge stays out.
Yeah, Fridge is doing well on fuel right now, so he's obviously decided that he might as well stay out and get his pace is pretty good, so he might as well use it.
And the double is changing tires. That will definitely knock him out of the podium, I think. But might also be the safer alternative for now. And since the gaps have been quite drawn out, he might actually not lose as much as we think he does.
That's true.
But where will Joachim Thunder come out? Will he come out closely behind Dennis Schröder? I don't think it will be in front of him. That is 34 seconds on Monza. It's a very long and slow pit lane.
It is, yeah.
And now into the pit lane. Smooth entry there.
Yeah, he hit the speed limit just about on the line, so it was a pretty bang-on pit stop by Joachim Thunder there.
There goes Dominic Ladler by, retaking the lead. I think Timothy Fritsch will come in as well now.
It was a very accurate box as well. He got no added time for being repositioned, so it was about as good a pit stop as you're going to get.
Timothy Fritsch, meanwhile, is still staying out. You can hear the V10 accelerating out of the pit lane. Dennis Schröder across the start-finish line. And will be very close into turn 1. Is that Joachim Thunder into second place after the pit stops? They're accelerating side by side. And Joachim Thunder keeps the position.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to do it then, to be honest, when he was on the inside coming into turn 1, but he managed to stick it around the outside of the end of the chicane.
To be honest, I wouldn't have thought they would come out side by side in the first place. Dennis Schröder did really have some impressive laps. It was hard to judge Joachim Thunder because the only real comparison we had on track was with Dominic Ladler. But, I mean, he must have had some very good lap times in between as well.
Yeah. I mean, Thunder's best lap time isn't that close to Schroeder's, or Schroeder and Ladler seem to be on far more of a kind of equal footing pace-wise, despite the gap on the racetrack. Thunder's is his fastest lap time isn't really the same. It's more of a mid-48, whereas Schroeder and Ladler have both been doing mid to low 47s. But obviously his consistency has been paying off there.
I mean, you might think, of course, like, he had a 5-second penalty. Of course, he's come out behind, but the gap before these two pitted, before Schröder pitted, was 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And with the gap building the laps prior to that, but of course Schröder with the refueling already had a heavier car, so maybe that gave a helping hand to Joachim Thunder.
Timothy Fritsch just finished his pit stop. He's got a brand new Aston Martin bonnet put on there, nice and shiny.
A few years back you would have said, or many would have said, it's unrealistic how fast damage is prepared in racing sims and how little time you get for extensive bodywork damage. But nowadays, you look at real-life GT3 racing and they can basically change the half a car in 10 seconds.
Yeah, they do not mess around, do they? It's just a couple of quick clips and off come entire body panels and on come new ones.
I think they called the 296 Ferrari when it came out didn't they call it like an LMP3 for the road or something? Because it was just optimized that much in terms of bodywork and stuff, and replacing said bodywork, that it was basically handling and behaving like a LMP3 car, just
Okay, yeah.
adjusted to the GT3 regulations. But here goes Danny Schroeder again. Joachim Thunder.
Good slip dreams there.
I think this time he's got him, as long as he can get a good exit out of turn 2. But can Joachim Thunder keep up with him and maybe potentially take it back the next lap?
If you can keep close by and get the slipstream, maybe not. They're not going to catch Dominic Ladler up, so there's no point necessarily not attacking him, if you see what I mean. But he's just got to not try and hinder his own lap times and try and keep up with Schroeder as much as he can, and then make a move when it counts. Really, it's more of a game of timing at this point.
He had a bigger oversteer moment through the first Lesmo though, and that threw him back quite a few tenths. Maybe he gets lucky with Pierre Colbeck now in front of Danny Schroeder going into Ascari. That will definitely slow the German down a bit, but will it open the possibility for Joachim Thunder? Colbeck gets out of the way. But has it hurt the run of Danny Schroeder? Approaching Parabolica. Four-tenths the gap. I think that is a good range to put it into the inside of turn 1. Will Danny Schroeder react or will he leave the door open? He does leave the door open for Joachim Thunder to slip in. Down the inside he goes. Oh, and into the gravel there with the rear right tire. I think these two are having fun, don't they?
They do seem to be having fun.
Of course, teammates at TRL, but well, in the Community League there are not really teammates, are there?
Well, they're keeping it very, very clean. They're getting close. They're definitely not taking it easy on each other. But they are fighting very fair, which is always great.
Does seem like the weird tires from Joachim Thunder have suffered a bit due to this fight though. Because constantly just slowly creeping up through the first and second Lesmo. And that's really where Danny Schroeder is gaining a lot on him.
Yeah, he's definitely got enough of a gap now that Joachim Thunder's going to getting barely anything from the slipstream. So if you can get back to his prior pace, then Danny Schroeder should start to pull out more and more of a gap.
Nick Lalla is still lapping the 47th.
Only just, but yeah.
47 is 47 in my book, so. But he's not looking anywhere close to slowing down.
No, he's He's earning his Mr. Consistency title right now. He's just powering through one lap after another. He's in a good position, so he's not got much to do besides hot lapping. Just keep those lap times up, and it's looking pretty good.
I mean, I mention it quite often, I think, in those kind of races, especially when we see most cars lapping on their own, but it's quite impressive sometimes to see these drivers pushing the cars as fast as they can do. Of course, maybe the likes of Dominic Lala may be able to push it a bit further in Timothy Fridge, but also Timothy Fridge in his way is having a great race here in fourth. So just watching everybody, seeing how they perform on track and how different they are in styles. And I mean, we know it ourselves, we are both driving as well, so just noticing how subtle the difference sometimes might be between the drivers, but it's much more to the personality of the driver, isn't it?
Yeah, you get to be able to kind of identify people's driving styles a little bit, and it is very subtle little differences here and there within drivers with the same car. Obviously, a GT3 Porsche is going to drive quite a bit different to the Vantage of Timothy Fridge, because the cars are massively different in how they're laid out. But the drivers in the same kind of car, you can still kind of see a bit of their personality and how they like to drive and where they place the car and where they find their speed.
Meanwhile, coming to some questions from chat. Indeed, the driving physics, the whole tire models have been ironed out a lot over the last few years. And the game is very different to what we had when we launched open beta. I mean, if you think back to closed beta start last year, it was a very different environment, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Each tire update just seems to dramatically change the game and improve it as the tires have got kind of closer and closer to the ideal we're looking for in terms of performance, and you can really feel it.
And of course, new content drops and general expansion of the roster. We have more tracks to play with. We will have another new car fairly soon with the launch of Early Access, which has been talked about in the last radio check as well a lot. And in general, just looking forward to what's about to come in the future.
Ladler's lap times are normally somewhere around the 148s, answering another chat question. His best is a 147.2.
Yeah, last one has really been an outlier. 48.9,
Yeah, I
but
think
before we've not seen anything slower than 47.996, I think.
he had a bit of traffic last lap round. I think he maybe got stuck behind Enrico Bräuninger for a little bit.
Oh, Thunder getting very loose there, exiting the first Ascari.
Danny Schroeder currently within about of a tenth of his best lap time. He's really putting the hammer down, but with 6 minutes to go, 27 seconds is a big gap.
Yeah, I don't think that we will see that come down anytime soon. And I think the damage to the front right of Danny Schroeder's car does impact its performance quite a lot here as well.
Yeah, I think it's more just getting as big a gap over Jochen Thunder as he can, just to try and dissuade him from trying to make from thinking he can catch up. It's a bit of a breaking the spirits kind of move.
Also double running a bit wide there, but still in 5th. And having a look at the lap times, it's about 150.6 at the moment. Best lap time 49.9. For his first outing in an RCL, and that is, I think, something he can be very proud of. I think he might even have been at least closer to the P4 finish currently held by Timothy Fridge, even though ultimately I think it would have went to Timothy Fridge nonetheless, but it's a very strong performance here by him to start out, and I hope to see him back in the next race, see what he can do. Same goes, of course, for Gjembe, who we've seen performing very, very good at the start of the race until he had the blue screen.
Yeah, it's a really good kind of debut performance here on the RCL for sure. It's I know a lot of people see Monza GT3 and just click and start racing, so maybe coming in a bit blind compared to some of the other guys who've possibly been putting a bit of practice in. But hopefully he sees the league results, maybe watches the cast back high if you do, and decides to carry on racing in the RCL with us not next week, the week after. Won't be that either because of Christmas. When is the next one?
On the 27th, so in 2 weeks.
That's the one. Oh yeah, of course it's not. It's Friday, isn't it? Christmas is Wednesday. I can do calendar.
But good that you mention the next races and stuff, because we won't be stopping for Christmas season. Next week we will have the last Founders League race. Of course, it will come back in a different form after that, but for now it's the last Founders League race. And on the Saturday, on the 21st, we will have RCE special, I'd say. We let the community vote on what we should do, and the community voted for hypercars and GT3s at Fuji. So we will be having a 90-minute, we could say, WEC style race. And I'm looking forward to that one. I think it will be a lot of fun.
It is always good to see the kind of the premier class of RENNSPORT as it is at the minute, the hypercars. They are not for everybody. They are not an easy car to drive, but for the people who are better than me, which is most people, they're really fun to race and they're really rewarding once you get into the kind of rhythm and get to know what you're doing with them.
I mean, even if you drive the GT3, which I think, of seeing the last times we had this combo, most people would do, it's kind of cool to have those hypercars flying around, because the thing that usually was a bit annoying about the LMP1 cars that you've seen in other games from the past, LMP1 is dead for 6 years now as well. It's kind of insane. But the difference, of course, being LMP1 being way too quick to react to in the GT3, you kind of always have to hope that where the driver of the LMP's cars know what you do, but the hypercars, they are very well fine-tuned to fit with the GT3s. In the braking zones, you don't really see much of a difference between the two cars, and you can always react to each other, and it's a very nice, what would you call that? Symbiosis?
Yeah.
So these two cars fit very well together, and both cars can benefit from each other in a way. But Dominic Ladler is entering his final lap. He will have 1 minute more on the clock, but the lap time, of course, being about 1:47.
His lap time seems to have dropped off quite a lot recently, and Dominic Ladler's Dominic Ladler's last lap time, flipping out, that's a lot of L's, was a 148.9, with Donny Schroeder doing a 149, Joachim Thunder in the 149, so is Timothy Fritsch. So the lap times really seem to have kind of like gone off a little bit recently.
You really chose the most tricky combination of words to say that. But yeah, very much so. I mean, we've seen him slide a bit more than earlier. The car's not as planted anymore, but these tires have done 45 minutes now, and we know that we basically have more of a sprint style GT3 tire at the moment. So 45 minutes is, of course, well possible, but you will experience a drop off at some point.
Yeah, we have got in mind for later on in development about having different compounds of tyres, and the tyres we tend to have on the cars at the minute are, I think, what will later on get to be called the soft tyres. So yeah, they don't last as long as perhaps you're more used to seeing in 1 hour GT3 races, where people can use the same tyres to do a 1 hour race or double stint them in an endurance event.
Very much so, but Dominic Lala takes victory and takes back the lead in the championship. Pierre Colbeck in the EWC liveried Porsche coming home in 8th. I think he will really show us what consistency or what continuity will give you during the season. Danny Schroeder will probably come home in 2nd. I think he was waiting for Joachim Thunder there.
I think it was, yeah.
Either giving him a little teaser, trying to come home together, but 3rd goes to Joachim Thunder, and I think it will be a big relief for him.
Yeah, especially after Fuji, he'll be glad to have got a good result out of this one and get some bigger points on the table.
It was actually fairly close between Breuninger and Kurzer there. 8/10 between the two of them. And I mean, we know what happened to both of them during this race. They both didn't really have the best race, to say the least. But Timothy Fritsch comes home in 4th. And the last driver still on the track is Piotr Zadaibe in 5th. And, well, we've said it multiple times this race, but I will say it again. What a debut performance here by the Polish driver.
Yeah, it was a really impressive race for his first time here. Looking forward to see more of that, please.
Definitely hoping for it. But out of the final turn, and a well-deserved 5th place. I mean, and especially if we take a look at the grid, 5th place is just astonishing. All drivers in front of him are established veterans, so... Breuninger still in 6th, Kurz on 7th, Colbeck in 8th. The rest, of course, we will have to take a look after the standings have updated. Now, usually I would show you the schedule for next week, but it's not quite ready yet because we will implement some structural changes to the schedule in accommodation for the upcoming early access. So, no, this is not a confirmation on any date or something. It's just that we prepare some stuff for later on.
Yeah.
Before a certain Mr. Joachim Thunder starts to jeopardize once more. But it will include some more races, so we will have more frequent feature races or multi-class races. And what I can already say is that with the start of 2025, somewhere early in 2025 at least, we are looking to revisit the complete schedule anyway. So there are some changes coming. More on that later on, or at the end of the year, beginning of next year. And I think those changes should really help the multiplayer. But we are right now waiting for the league points to be calculated. because I think we have a very interesting situation on our hands. And
yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Ladler is points-wise there, and with the likes of Thunder and Schroeder.
there we have it. Dominic Lalla 278 in front of Lucas Mint, who's still in second on 220. He did gain some points from this race. And Joachim Thunder jumping to third in the standings as well. Then we have Danny
He's going to
Schroeder.
be happy with that.
I think Danny Schroeder will also be happy with being in fourth after one race only. Taking a look at the points from this race specifically. We can also see that Zadar with his performance up into 7th, Rich in 6th. Chico's still in 5th with his second point. Second place last time around. So it's fairly close to 11th in Volker Bielstein from 3rd to 11th, basically. Lucas Mint and Dominic Lalla both being victorious in a race and being a bit ahead of the competition at the moment. But of course, we have 4 races left, and the next one will be at Daytona. And I think Daytona is the track with the most interesting finishes we've had, both in RCL as well as RCEs and also the ESL-R1. So I'm looking forward to that.
And me. Yeah, it's always a good track, and there's plenty of slipstreaming opportunities coming up into the start-finish straight, so it can make for some pretty exciting finishes.
So yeah, then I'd say this concludes today's race. I think it was very exciting. Might not have been the worst choice to put it on a Friday 13th, I guess.
I think some of the drivers might disagree with you, but
that's a fair point. However, I hope you enjoyed today's show, and I will leave the last words to you.
Oh, thanks. Just like cold drop me into that one. Yeah, be sure to check out the schedule for the upcoming races. Got Daytona, obviously, and the Spa Orchard, and then the community vote. And see you next week for the RCE?
That's
RFL?
Correct. Both. On Friday, RFL, the final race, and on Saturday, RCE, which you will also see a small trailer for just after we've said our goodbyes, which we will do right now. So goodbye, have a great evening, until next time.
Goodbye.